This video provides a concise overview of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, OBA. The video explains how this law took shape and why it matters. It shows that OBA is projected to increase the U.S. budget deficit by $4.1 trillion over the next decade. It discusses who wins and who loses under the new law, how changes in government spending may boost the economy in the short term but create headwinds later, and how the act could reshape the investment landscape, affecting stocks, interest rates, and other asset classes. In short, this is everything investors need to understand about one of the most consequential budget laws in years. Here's how the bill moved through the House and the Senate. After a great deal of noise was heard from Republican fiscal hawks, the House of Representatives passed its version of the One Big Beautiful Bill on May 22nd. Only 2 Republicans voted against the bill. 1 other voted present, and 2 others didn't vote. This House version of the bill was estimated to increase the U.S. government's debt by $3 trillion through fiscal year 2034. The House version of the bill then moved to the Senate for consideration. There, a great deal more was heard from Republican fiscal hawks. The Senate amended the bill. On July 1st, the Senate bill was passed in a 51-50 vote. The Senate version of the bill is estimated to add $4.1 trillion to the national debt through 2034, $1.1 trillion more than the House bill. Only 3 Republican senators voted against the bill. The Senate version of the bill was then sent back to the House of Representatives. On July 3rd, the House passed the Senate version of the bill without making any amendments. Only 2 Republicans in the House voted against the bill. Little more was heard from the fiscal hawks. All Democrats in the House and Senate voted against these bills. President Trump signed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act into law on July 4th. Before OBA was passed, the Congressional Budget Office projected the budget deficit would decline in 2026 and 2027, before widening again in 2028 and peaking at $2.6 trillion in 2033. The CBO expected the cumulative budget deficit would be $21.1 trillion between 2025 and 2034. After OBA, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget projected the budget deficit would expand sharply beginning in 2026 and peak at $3 trillion in 2033. The budget deficit as a percentage of GDP would average roughly 7% a year from 2026 to 2034, according to these projections. Such enormous budget deficits are extremely rare during peacetime. That committee estimated the cumulative budget deficit would be $25.2 trillion between 2025 and 2034, a $4.1 trillion increase compared with the CBO's pre-OBA projections. This chart shows the pre-OBA and post-OBA budget deficit projections side by side. The projections above are based on the Act as written. A number of the provisions within the Act are written to expire after 4 or more years. If those provisions are made permanent, as often happens as time goes by, the 10-year cumulative increase in the national debt resulting from this Act will be $26.6 trillion, $1.4 trillion more than the as-written version, and $5.5 trillion more than the CBO's pre-OBA projections. If the provisions are made permanent, the deficit will peak at $3.3 trillion in 2033.